Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kyle, the Grumman Prepper. I'm in here working on a few small projects here in my workshop, and I decided, since I was in here, to go ahead and do this small, short little video. Now, a couple weeks ago, maybe more than that, my friend Leo of the Irish Zombie Nation did a video on his knife collection, which I thought was absolutely awesome. I love some of his blades. It's really cool. Some of the blades are ones I'd like to get my hands on someday, but so I decided to do a video on my collection. I think mine is probably a little bit bigger, but I'll let you guys judge for yourself. So let me turn this camera around and I'll show you what I have. Okay guys, so on this first shelf I keep my dad's, or granddad's, excuse me, challenge coins. And if you don't know what that is, that's where in such a, like an American Legion or something like that, you put one of these coins down, and if everybody has one, you end up paying the drinks. If one person doesn't have one, they end up paying. So it's kind of fun. But I mean, I've got all sorts from Army, Vietnam, all sorts of things. This is one of my favorite little axes. This is custom made by Cody Love from California. I put the engravings in it, and this is, of course, all of my gods and stuff. And then of course I have my my little pocket altars, and of course my horn. But then I keep this, which is a gear accessory thing that was made by Gear Nut. It's got a ferro rod and of course the extender rod, and then of course the two bit kits. Moving down to the second shelf. Alright, excuse me, I think I misspoke. This is the first shelf, I'm sorry. But of course I have my main blade, the first blade I ever got, which was my SCHF 9. This is pre Smith & Wesson, so it's a very good solid blade. I beat this thing and just, it still keeps coming back. This is called the Matt Would Go knife from Buck Knives. The history of this knife is just absolutely incredible. This was first, this is not one of his, this is a replica of one of his, but it's made of the same steel. And it was made from, his blades were made from truck springs of Humvees. But this is made of a similar, or excuse me, the same material. Then of course, this one is a Mula. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but this is from Spain. This is one my dad got me for, my granddad got me for my birthday. And then of course, you haven't seen this blade in a while. This is my SCHF 36. This one I was trying to acid etch this thing, and I kind of screwed it up. So I kind of have to fix it. And so I'm still working on it. This is the M-Tech Extreme. See, the MX 8110. Sorry, the name is always screw up the name. But that's a really good use and abuse knife. And then of course, you've seen this before, the Abyssal Wolf Forge Wolfheart. This is one I'm going to be doing a review on pretty soon. the LT Wright Bushcrafter HC. Then of course you know this one, the Far Beyond Driven. And this one I usually keep in my car. This is my MSK 2.5. I keep this right next to my driver's seat, so that way if I need to cut my seatbelt or something, it's right there. And I usually, something I've added to these is I've added these light bars, bought them at Walmart, simple and cheap, and they work. So, moving down to the second shelf. As you can see, I have I have a couple of Mora companions. I forget what this one is called, but this is just the basic cheap Mora. But this is the Mora Companion HD, so it is a lot beefier. Then of course I've got my Klecker knives, and then I got a Cold Steel Voyager, which I got from I believe it's Ben McCain, I believe. And then of course I got this from Chris Tanner, Cold Steel. Oop, almost cut my finger off. Cold Steel Talawar. This thing is absolutely insane. I mean, this thing, if you don't respect it, it will cut you, and very severely. So then of course I got my two 56L and 56. This is a oops, sorry, let me get my hands out of the way here. This is just a small Skinner that my grandparents got me for Christmas last year. Of course I got my Ontario Rat 3, and then of course my SE3 from Leo of the Irish Zombie Nation. And then there we go. There we go. Then moving down to the third shelf, I've got a just kind of a no-name real folder, but I think this eagle kind of thing is really pretty. Then of course, like everybody else, I had to get one of these cheap Walmart folders. Then of course my Lansky First Responder, one of my favorite knives. And then of course I got 3 case knives here, a Leatherman Juice, I believe, Squirt. I knew it was one of those liquids. And then of course I got another case knife here. This is my Elk Ridge knife. And then of course I've got my Benchmade Emerson. And this is a limited edition. So that's why that one's so special to me, because it's a limited edition. And then of course I've got my Spyderco Manix 2, which this thing is awesome. And then of course I have my Everyday Carry. Of course you know this one, the Spyderco Tenacious. I got a couple of, this is just a cheap Walmart folder, a cheap NRA folder, and then of course the Swiss Army Victorinox Trekker, and then of course a cheap multi-tool. I don't even know where I got that one, honestly. But then of course I got my Smith & Wesson little folder. Then of course I got a Kershaw Freefall, and then my Leatherman Wave, and Leatherman Rebar and Leatherman Surge. The Surge I usually keep in my trunk bug-out bag because it just gives you all the tools that you need. And then of course I got my Kershaw Clash, I believe, and then I'm not sure what this one is, but I'll put it on the screen. And then of course my Schrade 501. And then of course this is another cheap Walmart folders. I like cheap Walmart folders, if you can't tell. And then of course, I'm not sure where I got these two, but these are kind of cheap little knives. This one is a 10-point buck knife. This one a friend of mine got me for my high school graduation. And then of course I got hanging on the wall here, I've got just a cheap little throwaway boot knife. And then of course my Essie Azula. And then of course I got a UST little cheap Walmart knife. But this one will actually this one will actually sparks from a ferro rod really well. So let me bring this camera back up and I'll show you a couple more. This is one of my kind of newer axes. This is a double bit axe. I can't remember where I got it, but I got it in trade. So and then of course I got just a standard regular chopping axe, if you want to say regular, but I added Wilson wrap to the handle, so makes it a little bit more comfortable. And then this one here I just got from a buddy at work. I don't know whether this is real or not. Maybe you guys can tell me. But like I said, I just got it, so I haven't done any research on it. But this is a, I don't know whether you call this a mini scimitar or what, but this is a Pakistan, made in Pakistan, and it's a good, solid, hefty blade. And it's kind of one of my new favorites, honestly, because it just looks really cool. I think between this and the Viking axe, I think it'd be kind of intimidating, don't you think? So let me turn this camera around and we'll finish this up. Okay guys, so that's my small collection. Now, believe it or not, I actually used to have a bigger collection, a lot bigger, but I've since quite scaled back. I think I'm going to even scale back even more, but I'm not for sure. But like I said, that's just a small, my small collection. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Turn on my post notifications so you never miss a video. And be sure to check all the links in the box below for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And until next time, this is Grandma Pepper saying, I'll catch you on the flip side.